All right, listeners. So today we were tackling a big one, French pronouns.
Oh, yes.
These little words can be tricky even for experienced learners. Am I right?
Absolutely. They really are kind of the nuts and bolts of the language.
Exactly. And today we're going to dig into what makes French pronouns so unique and honestly a little bit sneaky.
Yeah, sneaky is a good word for it. They've got these hidden depths.
So let's jump right in. What's one thing that makes French pronouns stand out from, say, English pronouns?
Well, for starters, let's talk about word order. In English, we usually stick with a pretty standard subject-verb-object structure.
Right, like she sees the dog.
Exactly. But French likes to shake things up a bit, particularly when it comes to object pronouns.
Okay, give me an example. How would you say that same sentence, she sees the dog, in French?
So in French, you would say elle le voit, which literally translates to she, it sees.
Whoa, so the pronoun le, meaning it, actually jumps in front of the verb.
Yep, that's French for you. It's all about making those pronouns agree with the noun they're replacing, even if it means tweaking the word order a little.
Fascinating. So it's not just about knowing the pronoun itself, it's about knowing where it fits in the whole sentence structure.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I knew there had to be more. And I bet you're going to tell me it gets even more interesting when we start talking about you.
You know me too well. The infamous tu versus vous, it's enough to make any French learner sweat a little.
Because in English, we can just get away with you for everything and everyone.
Right. But French forces you to think about your relationship with the person you are speaking to. Are they someone you address formally or informally?
It's like choosing between, hey, dude, and excuse me, sir. Getting it right is key.
Exactly. You don't want to accidentally call your boss dude or your best friend sir.
Okay, so how do we navigate this minefield of tu and vous? What are the ground rules?
Well, there are some general guidelines like using vous for people you don't know well or who are older than you, and tu for friends and family. But even within those rules, there are exceptions and regional variations.
So it really is a delicate dance.
It is, and that's part of what makes French so nuanced and interesting. You're always thinking about the context, the relationship, the level of formality.
It's like those pronouns hold the key to unlocking a deeper level of understanding of French culture.
Absolutely. It shows you're paying attention to the subtleties and nuances that make the language so rich.
I love that. So we've got word order, we've got social dynamics. What else makes French pronouns so fascinating?
Well, you're not going to believe this, but French pronouns even care about gender.
Hold on now. You're telling me even objects have feelings in French?
Not quite. But they do have a grammatical gender. And those possessive pronouns we talked about earlier.
The ones that tell us mine or yours.
Right? Those guys. They have to agree with the gender of the noun they're describing.
All right, this is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
You're telling me that French pronouns change based on who or what they're talking about and whether that thing is masculine or feminine.
You got it. And we're just getting started. All right, so we were talking about how French pronouns can be a little demanding, let's say.
Demanding, haha. I like that.
Yeah, they're very particular about agreement, like those possessive pronouns we touched on earlier.
Right, the mine and yours of the French language.
Exactly. Now imagine those pronouns putting their tiny little French feet down and saying, non, 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 we refuse to agree with just anything.
Oh boy, here we go.
They're very picky about gender agreement, specifically the gender of the noun they're linked to.
Okay, now you're going to have to break this down for me. Because in English, we don't really worry about gender agreement with pronouns, do we?
Not at all. We can use his to refer to a book,
Yeah.
a car, a mountain, whatever.
Exactly. It's just his all the way down.
Yeah.
But not in French.
Nope. French likes to keep things interesting. Let's say you want to say his book in French. You'd need to use the masculine possessive pronoun son, because book le livre is masculine.
So the pronoun has to match the noun's gender. Okay, I'm starting to see how this works. But what happens if it's her book? Does the pronoun change again?
You bet it does. Now you'd use ça, the feminine form, because you're still talking about a feminine noun, le livre.
Wow. So even though we're talking about possession, his versus hers, the French pronoun is more concerned with the book itself.
Exactly. It's like the French pronoun is saying, I don't care who owns it, I care what it is. They're very focused on that noun-pronoun agreement.
That is so interesting. It's like a whole different way of thinking about language and how the pieces fit together.
It is, and it highlights this beautiful attention to detail that you see throughout French grammar. Remember how we talked about tu versus vous? It's all connected.
Right. It's about being precise and nuanced in your language choices, showing that you understand those subtle but important distinctions.
Exactly. And that's what makes mastering French pronouns so rewarding. You're not just learning words, you're unlocking a deeper understanding of how the language reflects French culture and thought. But we're not done yet.
Yeah.
French pronouns have even more tricks up their sleeves.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a second. What else do we need to know about these fascinating but finicky little words?
Well, let's just say that asking questions in French, it's an art form in itself.
Oh boy, I have a feeling I'm going to need a whole new set of grammar tools for this one.
You might be right about that. But don't worry, we'll navigate this linguistic labyrinth together, step by step.
Okay, so French pronouns and asking questions, it sounds like a recipe for grammatical mayhem.
Haha. It can feel that way sometimes, but once you understand the underlying logic, it's actually quite elegant.
Okay, you've officially piqued my curiosity. Let's talk about those French question words. What makes them so different from English?
Well, let's take the word what, for example. In English, we can use it for pretty much anything.
Right, what is that? What are you doing? What's the meaning of life? Same word, different questions.
Exactly. But French likes to be a little more specific. They've got different words for what, depending on what you're asking and how you're asking it.
Okay, give me an example. When would you use a different what in French?
So let's say you want to ask, what is this? In French, you would use qu'est-ce que c'est? It literally means, what is it that this is?
Wow, so French really breaks it down, doesn't it? It's like they want to leave no room for ambiguity.
Exactly. And this attention to detail extends to other question words too, like who, for instance.
Oh, tell me more about who. I have a feeling this is where things get really interesting.
You're right. Who in French is qui, but the way you use it can change depending on whether it's the subject or the object of the sentence.
Okay, I'm sensing a grammar lesson coming on. Break it down for me.
So if you want to ask who is coming to the party, qui acts like the subject, so you'd say qui vient à la fête.
Makes sense. It's like English so far. But what about when who is the object, like whom did you see?
Ah, there's the French twist. You can't just use qui by itself, you need to use a preposition. So it becomes qui avez-vous vu? Literally, who have you seen?
So it's like French is saying, we need more information. Tell us exactly who you're talking about.
Precisely. French loves its prepositions, and they often team up with pronouns to add that extra layer of clarity and precision. It's all part of that elegant complexity we were talking about.
I'm starting to see the beauty in it, even if it makes my head spin a little. It's like those pronouns and question words are the secret ingredients to unlocking a whole new level of fluency.
You got it. And the more you explore these nuances, the more you appreciate the richness and expressiveness of the French language.
Well, listeners, there you have it. We've journeyed into the heart of French pronouns, uncovering their hidden depths and their crucial role in shaping this beautifully complex language. From those subtle agreements to their intricate dance with prepositions, French pronouns offer a fascinating glimpse into the precision and nuance that lie at the very core of French communication.
Absolutely. It's a journey of discovery that never really ends. Every conversation, every text offers a new opportunity to deepen your understanding and appreciation for these fascinating little words.
So true. Keep those grammar books handy, embrace the challenge, and most importantly, keep exploring the fascinating world of the French language. Until next time, happy learning.